Nintendo and Xbox have begun to offer their own visions of what cloud gaming should be. But the question has to be asked, is one truly better than the other? Let's talk about it.
Are you listening?
Hey, welcome back to the Nerf Report. Today, we are comparing Xbox cloud gaming with Nintendo cloud gaming. More specifically, the performance surrounding Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy running on both platforms. Now, just in case the term cloud gaming is new to you, cloud gaming differs from traditional methods of gaming where the majority of your video game's processing is handled locally. With cloud gaming, the game is being run on a server which communicates directly with your controller via Wi-Fi and then transmits the gameplay footage directly back to your screen. And I mean, there are some major benefits to cloud gaming. Low cost of entry, minimal load time, zero installs, along with the diversity of devices that you can play on. However, as we mentioned at the start of this video, Nintendo and Xbox have both offered different visions of what cloud gaming should be, and I think that's really interesting. For example, in the case of Guardians of the Galaxy, Nintendo requires players to purchase the game for $60, which then can be streamed directly to your Nintendo Switch. Whereas with Xbox, Guardians of the Galaxy is currently available on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is about $14 a month when you're purchasing a 3-month package. Now, the flip side to Nintendo is Xbox allows players to stream Guardians of the Galaxy to their phones, tablets, Xbox consoles, PCs, and laptops. I mean, heck, we even got Xbox Cloud Gaming to run on a Facebook portal. So in the sense of value and which plan offers a larger array of devices to game on, well, Xbox Cloud Gaming definitely takes the W in both of those areas. Now, moving on to load times. We went ahead and timed the load times for Guardians of the Galaxy running on both Nintendo Cloud Gaming and Xbox Cloud Gaming. To make sure this was as fair as possible, we started both games from the console's home screen and timed how long it would take for players to get to the start menu. Now, Xbox was able to achieve this startup in 1 minute and 25 seconds, whereas Nintendo took a little bit longer, coming in at 1 minute and 52 seconds. And quite frankly, I mean, a lot of this has to do with the way that Nintendo Cloud games boot. When you start a game on Nintendo Cloud Gaming, it takes you to this weird cloud gaming sign-in screen where it will prompt you and you actually have to confirm that you want to play the game via the cloud. I assume that this is some type of Ubisoft thing, and perhaps that's the way that they connect you to their servers, but either way, this additional step adds another 30 seconds to the startup process. And after seeing all of that, when it comes to load times between Xbox Cloud Gaming and Nintendo Cloud Gaming, Xbox Cloud Gaming again will take the W as it is slightly faster. Now, the next thing that's definitely worth talking about is graphics and overall performance. And while it's pretty difficult to track resolutions or frames per second on a Switch without modifying the console, for the most part, Nintendo has made it clear that cloud games will operate at 720p. And according to Eurogamer, Guardians of the Galaxy is actually running at 720p 30 frames per second. Whereas with Xbox Cloud Gaming, Guardians of the Galaxy is running at 1080p 60 frames per second. And I want to make this clear. You know, the Nintendo version of Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely good enough to play, but when put side to side, I mean, the difference between the two versions is very noticeable. Scenes on Xbox look clearer and have more depth, while the game running on Nintendo looks very muted and flat. But outside of the clarity of the gameplay, there are also some differences between the two versions of the game that I noticed. In Peter Quill's cabin at the start of the game, the Nintendo version has more detail in the room. Items on Peter's counter begin to appear, and somehow a beanbag chair just magically appears, because that definitely wasn't visible in the Xbox version of the game, which was really weird to me at first. But then I started to think that since Nintendo is running at 720p, perhaps the game can run more assets in the background that Xbox Cloud Gaming just isn't capable of at 1080p. But that being said, Nintendo did have a weird glitch where the in-game mirror just blacks out when it moves out of the camera. Again, this is probably just a processing or computing thing, but it definitely was distracting enough for me to take notice whenever it happened. So visually speaking, the Xbox version of the game is definitely way better. I mean, the characters' faces just look way more realistic, and the game doesn't seem like it has a film over the top of it. And while the Nintendo version of the game does have more attention to detail, I played the game on Xbox first, and the extra detail that's included on the Nintendo version doesn't really change the game too much. So visually speaking, Xbox will definitely take the W here. But again, as I mentioned earlier, the Nintendo version was definitely playable, and I enjoyed playing it on Nintendo, but the Xbox version just felt more polished. And overall, I was really impressed by cloud gaming running on both Xbox and Nintendo. I never really ran into lag or any drops in frames. But that being said, we were also running this test on our 300 megabit per second internet, so that definitely helps in our experience. But honestly, after seeing Nintendo and Xbox both run this game via the cloud, it gives me great hope for where cloud gaming can go next. And I think it's crystal clear that Xbox kind of ran the gamut here. I mean, load times, graphics, playability, and the fact that I was playing Guardians of the Galaxy on my phone is really sick. But enough from me. What do you all think? Have you tested out Guardians of the Galaxy running in the cloud? Which platform have you been playing on? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, so please let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, which who wouldn't, hit the subscribe button right there. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Maybe even consider becoming a Nerf Report best friend, just like the people listed down below did. In fact, don't you want to see your name there? I know I do.